Hey YouTube, it's Stephen Michael McDowell, aka Buttercup, on day 29. Let me check. Checking. Yep, day 29 of Vlog Every Day in April. Wow, there's only one more day left. Wait, one more day left? Yeah, only 30 days in April. So there's only one more day left. It's been an interesting month watching my uh, life progress the way that it has. I guess maybe I'll save any sort of like parting words for the next video. What I want to talk about today is um, I'm I'm someone posted on Imager or a like an in-depth analysis of everything that happened in Adventure Time, and the Adventure Time season 8 is going to be the last. Okay, Adventure Time is a cartoon show. If you haven't seen it, then you don't have to watch the rest of this video. But it's been going on for 8 seasons, and this is going to be the last season. And it's sort of like a Dungeons and Dragons derivative, anime-inspired. It's a lot of things. It's got a lot of stuff going on. But so someone on Imager last year uploaded, wrote and uploaded this like huge thing talking about all of the lore. And I am a lore nerd, I'm realizing. I've been listening to Dungeons and Dragons playthrough podcasts, that the ones that have been particularly interesting in terms of the story development. And back when I was a kid, I used to read Lord of the Rings and Chronicles of Narnia and other things that had that kind of like feel about them, and I would write stories about like that too, and like imagine like a world from inception to its eventual apocalypse. And I'm really fascinated by these things. I kind of wish that I wasn't, because it takes up so much space in my brain, and I'm always looking for media that like satisfies that fix. Right now, because Adventure Time is almost finished airing all of its episodes, and I was able to watch the most recent miniseries, Elements. Um, I've got I just got a fix that needs fixing, and I want to think of it as me doing research for my comic, because I also want my comic to have this kind of sense of deep time and intricate magic and intricate um, magical mechanic explanation, meaning like uh, being able to explain the physics behind the magic is really important to me. And so worlds that spend a lot of time developing a history that like enables the ability for people who are consuming the media to look at it and be like, oh, this kind of makes sense, in like more of a conspiracy theory way than a actual scientific sense way. Um, but like for instance, right, in Lord of the Rings, J.R.R. Tolkien establishes that like there's this entity that sang the world into being, and like once you establish that, then like that means that spoken words and sound are really important things to this world, and people who are able to sing or perform magic through spoken word and sound are specifically are like it just explains the mechanic. So then it's no surprise then that like the One Ring to rule them all has like this written incantation in like an ancient dark uh, magical language inscribed in like it, what do you call it, invisible ink on it, right? That only comes out when you put it in fire, because it was anyway. So like I like things that are like that. And it's interesting, but it's also aggravating. But back to what I was saying before, someone uploaded like a in-depth chronology of all of Adventure Time, and I'm just like reading through that in parts, and it's been so time consuming that like I have it like it's after 3 a.m. So I'm posting this like literally on the 30th. Um, but like I just couldn't tear myself away from just mindlessly, almost mindlessly. I'm like thinking about how to incorporate it into my story, but like pretty much spacing out and in a trance state, just like listening to the lore of this world. Because I've got my computer doing text to speech, so I just like select all and then read it out loud to me while I like play video games or like do something else. But it's not conducive to making videos because like if you had this voice in the background,
Adventure Time. A complete and total history of the Adventure Time universe. Prehistoric era.
it's not
The
super.
primordial world.
Yeah,
Stop. I have learned
you
much from
know,
you.
it's not super conducive to making videos while. Anyway, so it's really interesting because like I want to incorporate things like this into the world that I'm developing, and I've got a bunch of different like timelines and stories that need to be told, and it's bizarre because like it is super useful to write it all down, but it also exists in a more pure state in my head the way that I imagine it when I know like, oh, this is the way that I want this thing to be. It's almost sacrilegious. It feels sacrilegious to write it down because then you know that it's going to have like a lower resolution than what it is in my head. And so like over the course of my story, there are these 12 deities, and we see them at 12 different points in human prehistory, and then eventually history, and then the present day. And and I have to think about like what those deities would look like at those times because they're influenced by what people think about the concept of deity at the time. They are physical things that manifest as a result of like human collective consciousness incorporating them into physical space. And but it's really hard to think about like what is it that 20,000 years ago, what were people thinking about? And like that gets even more complicated when you think about the possibility that there were like ancient civilizations. I'd recently read a conspiracy theory about Indonesia prior to it breaking up into a bunch of islands. It might have been like what we understand as Atlantis, like a giant continent that like had all of these, thriving societies and temples and like mountain complexes and all these things. And then like, eventually because of some natural disaster, it just got sunk. And like if I'm thinking about things like that, then like I have to think about like what would those people have been preoccupied by? What remnants of their society exist to the present day that could inform like how I would design these characters? And then I have to go and do multiple drawings to like express what it is that they would look like. And I'm like a horrifically lazy artist. Like I feel like sure I've got talent, or like I've developed enough skill that I can take what's in my head and produce it on paper or on a screen somewhere, but like it's frustrating because there's also so much more information to take in as a potential point of reference. And I don't even want to get into talking about the fact that like mostly white people made these things and how aggravating that is, and how part of the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is like to combat that fact and combat that expectation because prior to any white people even existing, African people were coming up with really super complex mythologies based on constellations and all these other things. And even inventing writing systems specifically just to document the intricacies of these narratives. And so, like, I don't know. I don't really even know what I'm getting at. It's just a lot. And like, rather than watch all of Adventure Time all the way through again, because I already have, I'm like sitting here listening to this read through of this like this basically this audiobook of the lore bible of this world, because it's coming to an end soon. And like I love that. I love when series that have this like level of depth come to an end, because that means that you can watch it from beginning to end and know that like it is this self-contained thing. I can't wait for Steven Universe to be over. Like they keep saying that like this might be the last season, and I'm like, good. Like Please let it be the last season. No TV show needs more than 5 seasons, in my opinion. But so, like, I don't know. I need to figure out a way of enthusiastically taking this enthusiasm that I feel right now in the process of consuming the information and transmute it into enthusiasm about creating my own thing. Because I feel like I've got the layers, I've got the levels of depth of complexity. I just need to apply it. So if you're watching this video, please feel free to hit me up in the comments or in my DM somewhere and be like, just say something encouraging to be like, yeah, I think you can do this. Like this is important to me. Keep at it because I really need that affirmation. Anyway, this has been Stephen Michael McDowell, aka Buttercup, on Vlog Every Day in April, day 29. See you in the next one. Boop.